a very heartfelt congratulations because you have persevered and made it to the end of this chain of videos. This is video number 25, the last in the series. We've covered a lot. We've covered it quickly, and we've covered it in a very rudimentary way, and also in an, frankly, I admit, an amateurish way. Did my best, but there were times when the explanation could have been better. Language is a bit sloppy here and there. Don't necessarily want to go back and redo all of them or even some of them. So let's just call it a day, if you will. And I hope that some benefit has come from these videos. But what I wanted to do at the end here is provide a moment of encouragement to you and a word concerning the strategies for not burning out and not spending a lot of time up front getting frustrated, slowly quitting, and then one day finally truly walking away and realizing for a bit that you perhaps wasted 20, 30 weeks of your life, and then a few weeks later completely forgetting about everything, so the pain disappears. But you don't want that to happen. You want this to be a success. And what I think you really need to be able to do is commit to it in terms of review. Once you learn a concept, many of us, myself included, are going to need to review it for it to begin to stick and stay and be with us long term. I don't have a photographic mind. I don't really have a particularly good memory. But I have strategies for doing this that doesn't overwhelm me. And I also am a believer in the ancillary benefits of learning language for the rest of your life. Okay, so I'm not on any timetable myself. I'm not trying to say I've got to learn Greek or Latin or Hebrew by 2 years. I'm not on that. I don't need to be on that vocationally. Maybe you do, but I don't. I don't need it for a degree. There was a point where I did have to learn Latin for my PhD. I had to pass an oral exam with a classic professor of the classics, and I did it, committed to it. I just got it done. I found the very best book that I could get. By the way, people that are interested in languages and study languages, they know the better books. They know the good books out there, and ask around, because if you just go online to find a book to teach you Greek or Latin or Hebrew, you might find a whole range of them, but only maybe one or two are really, really effective in the sense of they rise to the level of, hey, this is a classic text. This is a great textbook, okay? And people that have learned foreign languages know very often more than you think can be a good resource for you to find those sorts of tools, okay? Anyway, what I would say is if you're not really on a time frame here and you're not trying to rush through it, if you are, there's a whole different approach that you need to take. But would you consider practicing and making language learning a part of your week, your day, your every other day, your days that begin with the letter T? I don't know, but on a regular basis, would you consider reviewing and learning a foreign language for the rest of your life? It becomes a pattern of your daily movement, and it will keep your mind sharp. It'll keep that interior space that's so important to you, that's made in the image of God. It will keep that thing growing and strong. It will give you practice and insight in analytic and analysis that is very akin to mathematical analysis, yet different. It has a sine qua non to it. It's got its own unique thing going on here. Although when you get down to the deep grammar and you see what people do with their understanding, their mental understanding of their own experiences in space and time and displacement and truth and verity and falsity concerning the historicity of that happening, that event, and how they want to communicate it to others, you're at a level where you're going to find that a lot of these things at that very deep level are things you've been doing for a long time already, and that you just recognize more by feel than anything else, okay? And and it's a basic level because you can't get any deeper than that. You realize that you're learning how to think through things in a beautiful integrated way down there, and it has return of investment for how you read material, how you watch movies, how you form conversations, how you see perhaps analysis in other areas like political analysis or cultural analysis, or it bears fruit, is what I'm saying. It doesn't have a lot of content to it at that deep level. We can talk about subjects and objects and complements and object complements and prepositional phrases without ever bringing an actual word into play, like this pencil. Okay. Just as we can talk about numbers, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12, without ever talking about whether we're referring to 12 apples or 12 oranges or 12 plots of land or 12 shoes, or you got the idea, right? Um, so there's a lot of benefit that comes from this. And, if you have moments in your day where, and you have the material that you've developed, say, for these declensions and conjugations I was just talking about, you can put together on a note card, the declension, the mass for, one noun in the first declension group, and you can just write it out, and you can just take that one noun with you for the day. And it's in your pocket. It's a physical piece of paper. You put your hand, or your purse or whatever, you put your hand in there, you pull it out and you look at it, or you put it on your steering wheel or something like that. Now, this can very easily get overkill and too much, and then we're walking around with pieces of paper sticking everywhere. I understand that there's a balance to everything, but if you really go looking carefully, you're going to find a lot of pockets in your day when you're actually not doing anything. It's a bit ironic because a lot of people that I get involved with my ministry, with my work, with what I'm doing, are around a lot of very busy people. But I find these pockets in my own life, and I can see them in other people's lives, and we speak to each other as iron sharpens iron to make sure that we are using those pockets while we leave some time for genuine relaxation. So I'm not saying you have to make use of every minute of the day. I want you to stay sane and to be part of the land of the living. But there are actually quite a few minutes of your day that you're just wasting. Is it really a waste? Maybe you need that time to relax. Okay. I understand that sort of argument. But I think if you took half of those, leave the other half to just enjoy doing nothing, recharging, letting your mind have a break. But if you just took half of those minutes and reviewed a word, worked on something because you had the vocabulary sheet there with you, you had it on your phone, and you just did it, and you did this every day. After the course of 5 years, you really will advance in your attempt to learn a language, and it won't, and you can do it without carving out, say, 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes every other day. I would recommend trying to do that as well. But what I'm saying is there are many, if you do 2 or 3 of these quick dead pockets, if you will, find them and use them throughout the day, you can learn a foreign language while everything else is staying at its busy pace for you. The setup time is time you're going to have to invest. You're going to have to make the cards or buy them, or find some way to have material in your car when you drive. I do. I pull out little sheets and I look at them as I drive, and I'm still accident free. But I don't stare at it, but I just glance quickly because I know them. I have them in my pocket. Okay. Sometimes they get worn, but guess what? I have plenty of copies because I copy them. And when it gets too worn, I throw it away, pull out another copy because I want to learn, how to use the subjunctive and the optative to form, groups of clauses that might talk about the future more vivid or the future less vivid, or the present factual or the past factual or the present contrafactual or the past contrafactual. I want to learn that. So, that's where I am right now in my studies, and I have that little sheet that I'm trying to use. So I guess you've got to find things that work for you, but I would suggest that you don't start off the bat with what I believe to be the false claim that you're too busy to learn. I feel like that's really being stemming from a lack of value and interest in it, or a fear of it, a result of being intimidated by it. It could be all sorts of things, but you're not too busy to learn a foreign language. It just aren't. I don't believe that. So um, I'll never tell you that, but I suspect that you're just not looking, and you just don't really have a lot of investment if you're not getting it done for whatever reason. Slowly. What I'm saying is, I've run into this situation in two different ways. One is someone learning how to play golf, and they thought it would be easy. They went out and bought a whole new set of new clubs, and they actually bought a year-long membership at a golf course. And within 3 months, I think some of the clubs were at the bottom of the lake, but it was all done because that person didn't realize the time investment it would take, didn't realize that they had to start slowly, and they had to start in a way that they could slowly continue to build on while they lived their life with their family, with their work, with the material maintenance they had to do on their houses and cars, with their hobbies, with their children, all of that. We see this also with exercise, when someone decides to, have this goal, and then they design an exercise regime that is incredibly demanding, and it works for 2 weeks, and then, it's all done. Whereas if you just had taken a 10-minute walk every other day for 5 years, you would be twice as healthy as you are now. And maybe cut back on your diet a little bit, tweak this, tweak that, nothing big. But if you do the small things a long time, they have a tremendous effect. And if you think about it, you're not going anywhere. You're either going to be alive in 10 years or not. And if you're not, then you don't need this. You're probably in a better place. If you are, then you've got 10 years of this study under your belt. I know that's sort of a simplistic argument until you think about it. The fact of the matter is you have nothing but time, especially if you believe in eternity. I mean, time is just pouring out of your ears because you are never going to have a time when you don't exist. You're never going to have a time when you don't have time. That's what I'm trying to say. And so it's really much more of a sense of how you're using it and how you're fitting it in quietly in a manageable, sustainable way. And I think it works very well if you're willing to embrace it as a long-term activity. And what has worked for me is to say, you know what, I'm going to go very long-term. I'm just going to do this my whole life because I feel like I learn a lot when I learn new words. I can see that knowledge spilling over to my knowledge of English. I feel like my articulation is getting less garbled. I think that's the best way to put it. I feel like I can see different angles of something because of how I'm forced to look at a word from different angles here in the moods or whatnot of a foreign language. I just feel like that there is stuff that is involved in learning a foreign language that has surprisingly profitable repercussions in other areas of thinking that you're called to do. So I do see it as a sort of a mental exercise. And I'm very much interested in taking care of my body because I view it as a gift from God. So I want to watch what I eat, want to stay active, want to try to get to sleep, want to take care of this thing, right? Well, I also want to do that with my interior space because that was made in the image of God even more so. God doesn't have fingers, but God has a mind. God has language. God has memory. God has logic and analysis. God has language, right? So this interior space I need to exercise as well. What better way to do it than just to say, I'm going to take Greek or Latin and Hebrew. I'm going to study it for the rest of my life. And here's how I'm going to do it every other day quickly for 5 minutes. Boom, the pressure's off. You can do it. It's doable. And in 5 years, you can look back and say, wow, I actually learned a whole lot more than I thought I would. I think that very well could be the case. So I wish you the very best. It's a very hard thing you're trying to do, especially if you're trying to learn it alone through books or video series. Very, very hard. People who've never tried to do it don't know how hard it is, okay? So you're in a group of people that have made it this far, okay? Keep at it, and see where you can go. All right, just make sure you don't overplan and over schedule things so that you burn out. That's really what I'm trying to say here is as soon as you burn out and give up on something, I don't know, everything that came before, is it a sunk cost? Is it gone? You stayed fit for so long and then you just gave it up and put on all this extra weight and became so unhealthy. Did it matter that you were fit for 20 years? I'm glad that those years were good, but what about now? What about your future? So I would say try to set this up so that you don't hit a point where you just give up because it's overwhelming. Okay, lower the expectations, extend the time frame, find those dead minutes in the day. They're there. Okay, make use of them in a way that you don't feel like you're a slave to it. But go for it. Now I know this is getting long. This ironically might be the longest video here, but I want to close with this little motto that I have. Okay, so I'm an intense and intensive reader, intentional reader, and a lot of fiction, a lot of nonfiction, but there are things that I just have to get through for what I believe is my ministry. And part of me finding those dead spots in my day, right, is me becoming a lover of audiobooks, because that helps me get through the material. So I will listen to audiobooks as I garden, as I cook, as I clean dishes, as I drive. Okay, but sometimes I get tired of it. Okay, sometimes I want to break. Sometimes I don't want to listen. Well, at that point, I say to myself, just press play. Just press play. Pull out your phone, look at that button, and press play. As soon as you press that button, the book itself will draw you in, and you'll get started. Okay, so we can extend that notion to just press play. When you're looking at that book and you're like, I don't want to read that book. Hey, just press play. Just literally reach your hand out there, touch the book, and turn the page. There's something of crossing that chasm that once you actually cross it, things get easier. Just press play. Okay, just reach out and push the button. Okay, physically. Turn that page, touch that book, get going, just press play. And at that moment, your battle is with this movement. Reach out and touch. That's it. And if you simplify the battle many times, you can just say, by golly, I can reach out my hand and hit that button and get started with the audiobook or with turning the page. So it's not as if this is easy for people. Okay, it's just that you got to get to a point where you really honestly see the value of it and see what it's doing in your life. And you got to be able to commit to not letting it go. All right. There's going to be a time when you let it go, but let that time manifest itself naturally as you approach the end of your life. Right now, press play. Just press play. Hey, thanks for watching.